So, you all have wound up here because you're interested in the workshop series that Holophon is putting on. Can everybody hear me okay? Am I loud enough? Yeah, okay. Um, I think that I'll talk a little bit about Holophon, and then we'll get more into detail into some of the workshops. First, I'd like to say that Holophon is based out of Regina, Saskatchewan. We're on the territories of the Nehiyawuk, the Anishinaapiq, the Dakota, the Lakota, the Nakota, and the homeland of the Métis. If you don't know our website, I'll put it in the chat here so you can check it out if you need to. Holophon currently right now consists of 3 people who are all board members: myself, Ian Campbell, Ryan Hill, and Ernie Dolanowski. And we're basically Holophon at this point. Holophon Audio Arts is a nonprofit organization supporting sound art and experimental music in Saskatchewan. The organization was founded in 2008 and is centered in the Treaty 4 territory of Regina. Holophon engages communities using using sound as an artistic medium, promoting sound art and experimental music through live performances, concerts, workshops, community events, and educational programming. In our projects, we look for ways to unite artists and audiences across disciplines and specializing using sound as an integral artistic component. Holophon works to increase the awareness of and to develop sound art practices in the province of Saskatchewan and on the Great Plains of Canada, and to encourage and facilitate discussion around critical and creative listening. I would also like to acknowledge our funders, which primarily are Multiplay. So Multiplay is an organization that explores digital community engagement with Canadian improvisers. And if Rebecca wants to say anything more about Multiplay, you can.
Sure. Come along and check out the Multiplay website, multiplay.ca. I think everybody in here knows about it or might be able to find out more there. And yeah, it's a project exploring improvisation in all sorts of directions, engagements with the community, lots of events and things to be part of. So check out multiplay.ca. I'll stick it in the links. Funded by the Canada Council for the Arts Digital Strategies Fund.
Yes, I'll also acknowledge the Canada Council of the Arts for the funding. Now I'm going to also post, I'm sure you've all been there, but this is the link for any of the workshops that I talk about today. You can sign up through that link, the Squarespace link there. So I'm going to run down the workshops and then we'll talk about them. And since we have Ernie here, he can maybe talk about his workshop when we get to that. So March 9th, we're going to be doing streaming audio for collaboration and performance with Ernie Dolanowski. March 16th, extraordinary sounds and ASMR with Hillary Cowan. April 6th is introduction to NanoSense Arduino with me, Ian Campbell. April 13th is analog loops, making tape loops with reel-to-reel tape recorder with Will Caulfield. April 20th is Ableton Live, working with sampling and drum tracks with David Roman. And May 4th is using the NanoSense Arduino Part 2 with me, Ian Campbell. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about Ernie Dolanowski. Ernie Dolanowski is an electronic music performer from Regina, Saskatchewan. Ernie uses a hardware-based workflow with both homemade and commercial electronics to create ambient drone and noise pieces. Some of his compositions can be found on his Instagram at ernst-pulsewidth and at pulsewidth.bandcamp.com. And I'll just read Ernie's description here, and then if he wants to add anything else, he can add something. So streaming audio for collaboration and performance. So the restrictions necessitated by the COVID-19 pandemic have made gathering for performances and collaboration all but impossible. To continue fostering such relationships, artists have taken to creating their own live streams to deliver performances. This workshop will endeavor to provide some insight into how to set up a live stream using software and hardware tools, how to publish that stream to various services. Additionally, software tools that can enable collaboration or jamming will be discussed and demonstrated. You may want to install the Jamulus streaming software at jamulus.io to participate in the interactive parts of this workshop. Ernie, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I don't think so. I just look, the description kind of summed it up. I'm going to be going over, primarily what's, because, it's mostly, like everybody's going to have the hardware that's required. Everybody's going to be, using a computer, an audio interface, plugging something in, be it a microphone or an instrument. But how to, and a webcam possibly, or whatever other camera you may have. And it's just, I'm going to endeavor to show how to, whether it's going to be like individual performances, or, like for a group, how to get that onto a streaming platform, be it like YouTube or Facebook or Twitch or whatever people are using, and how to stream your performance. And additionally, as Ian indicated, like, there's a couple of solutions to allow people to do online jams. They're, by no means perfect, but they actually can get the job done. And depending on the kind of music that you're doing, they work really, really well. So I'm just going to kind of go over what's required as far as setting that up goes. And as Ian indicated, if you install the Jamulus client, then perhaps there can be a participatory part where if you plug something in or simply use the microphone on your computer and have some acoustic thing that you want to smash around, then we can kind of join in and make a noise together.
I'm just going to share my screen again, and I just wanted to show a couple of screenshots here. So over the last little while, we've been kind of experimenting with the software. I believe Multiplay.
Well, that's from our Discord session there.
Yeah, so this is a Discord. This is the Discord, the way of jamming through Discord. Has video links, and then Ernie and I are just kind of playing around with our own instruments in our own houses. And then this is the Reaper with
Ninjam.
So it's basically like having an extra person in your digital audio workstation. So this would be Ernie here, and then I would be playing around here, just sort of noodling on the MIDI. I don't have a screenshot of Jamulus, but Jamulus kind of has a similar kind of, series of users.
Yeah, it's a bit more basic, and it's kind of standalone. Like Ninjam, as far as I've been able to determine, and Ian as well, is only available when you, as a plugin, when you install the Reaper digital audio workstation. There are old versions of clients for Mac OS and Windows, but they're like 15, 16 years old. They're like, so they haven't developed standalone clients. It's only available essentially as a plugin when you use the Reaper DAW. You can get away with using Reaper for free for a while, or if you decide, it floats your boat the right way. It's probably like the cheapest digital audio workstation out there that is ridiculously well featured and can do a lot for cheap dollars. But is it worth it to get that just for Ninjam? Maybe not. But as a standalone digital audio workstation, I'm giving it a big plug right now. Yeah,
Yeah,
Reaper is indeed great, Rebecca, for
yeah,
sure.
we use Reaper for the Ambisonics workshop too. So
Yeah. There's some a lot of plug. I think it's got its own set of ambisonic plugins, but there's a couple of third-party plugin suites for ambisonics that are available that are specifically built for Reaper. So yeah. Anyway,
so
enough about that. So we'll be discussing that kind of stuff, and then like software that you use to encode your audio and video to get it onto the streaming services, and we'll kind of go over the different pros and cons of some of the different streaming services as well.
next up, we've got extraordinary sounds and ASMR with Hillary Cowan. So tell you a little bit about Hillary. So Hillary Cowan is an artist and researcher working between installation, video, sculpture, and performance. Originally from Treaty 4 territory, she completed a degree in architecture at Carleton University before living and working for several years overseas. In Berlin, she was a founding member of Atelier House Australische Botschaft, OST, an artist collective and studio. Having recently studied sculpture and media at the Académie Royale des Beaux-Arts in Belgium, she is currently reconnecting with the prairies, examining her voice as a settler within Canada's colonial history and reality, and her work explores ideas around care, alienation, networks, geography, and touch. And her workshop is called Extraordinary Sounds in ASMR. So join us in exploring the wonderful world of ASMR, auto sensory meridian response, with a focus on sounds from everyday objects found in our immediate environment. Session will include an overview of the field, listening, as well as some collective exploration and sharing. Participants are invited to have a few objects on hand with which to experiment with. Does anybody have any experience with ASMR? Anybody listen to any ASMR stuff? We did a ASMR podcast a little while back for our listening station at the Dunlop, um, and I remember doing doing some whispering into microphones. Um, that
Yeah,
was
it's pretty swell. Hillary also in January was the plein air artist on CJTR, and she did current conditions, like a local and international weather reports that were absolutely beautiful to listen to.
cool. Next up is me with Introduction to Nanosense. I am Ian Campbell, a filmmaker and multimedia artist who works in video installation and performance art. My short films have screened across Canada at film and experimental media festivals such as Festival de Nouveau Cinema, Windex, Antimatter, 8 Fest, and others in Europe and the US. I've presented performance work using live improvised projected video at artist run centers and performance venues across Western Canada. And I currently am based in Saskatchewan, where I teach film at the University of Regina. And my workshop is called Introduction to NanoSense Arduino. So this is an introduction to the Arduino and what it can do for artists. No experience necessary. Participants will learn the basics of what the Arduino is, what it can do, and where to order them from. Special attention will be paid to the brand new Arduino NanoSense. This one. Um, this new board contains built-in sensors and a larger memory, so it can be used for a variety of tasks, including machine learning projects. Participants can order a NanoSense in time for part 2 of the workshop. So part 1 and then part 2. To get the most out of the workshop, participants might want to purchase we'll be looking at this brand new Arduino and what it can do. The new board contains a series of interesting sensors. We'll try them out, running various demo programs and discuss how they could be integrated into your artistic practice, sound-based or otherwise. So part one, I'll bring in some of my own Arduino projects because I've been working with the Arduinos for so long and doing lots of little, pretty simple little kind of projects with them, which I can explain. And then the NanoSense, if you can see that, is basically one of the newest boards that they've come out with. I think it came out maybe last December, just a couple of months ago. The thing about NanoSense is that a lot of Arduino projects require a lot of extra stuff. You know, you have to buy peripherals, sensors or actuators or motor controllers or all of these extra little boards. This one already has a whole bunch of sensors on it. So it's got Bluetooth, it's got temperature sensors, it's got light sensors, it's got accelerometers to measure like movement and that kind of thing. So I think there's a lot you can do with this just by plugging it in and not actually connecting it to anything else. So you plug it in with a USB cable. So that's how we'll be using it. We'll load some patches on here, and we'll just send the sensor data to the computer, and then we'll try to do something with that data. You don't really need a lot of experience for this. I'm going to go through it fairly step by step. It would be nice if you had a Mac computer. I always find that the Mac computers work a little better in terms of Arduino workshops, but it is cross-platform, so you can use a Windows machine as well. And the part one will be just kind of like the very basics of connecting the board to the computer, running the software, and trying to upload a program. And then I'll tell you where to order them. And then part two will get a little more in depth with the actual board. Anybody have any questions about that? Next workshop is analog loops, making tape loops with reel-to-reel tape recorder. And that is by Will Caulfield. Will Caulfield is a photographer and musician from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. His photography consists entirely of film, and he has been shooting for nearly 11 years. His collection is more than 50 vintage film cameras. His work has been featured by Paved Arts and Lomography. Caulfield's photography has been used by many musicians in producing album covers and promotional materials, most notably by Toronto-based record album label Adhesive Sounds and the Montreal band Magical Clouds. See more of Will's work on Instagram at F0RM form. And his workshop is Analog Loops is a beginner's educational tutorial designed for those interested in analog recording, experimental music, and sound art. In this 2-hour workshop, you will learn how to cut and splice together 7-inch reel-to-reel tape, feed tape loops into a reel-to-reel recorder, and create sound on sound loops. This workshop will provide you with the knowledge you need to create endless loops of sound using a reel-to-reel that can be manipulated and modified. So now we're going way back in time to the reel-to-reel tape recorders of the 60s, 70s. And so this is going to be a real interesting experience for people who are only familiar with digital technology. This is completely analog.
What's old is new again.
Yes, there's a lot of people who are interested in tape loops, both like cassette loops and the larger reel-to-reel. So maybe we'll take a look at that culture through. I'm on a Reddit group that's interested in tape loops, and I seem to follow a lot of people on Instagram who are doing tape loops these days, in conjunction with lots of other stuff like reverbs and synths and all kinds of other stuff. So that'll be interesting. And then the last workshop that we've got so far. Now this list we've got. Yes. Provide your own tape machines. I think it'll be more of a show and tell type workshop. That he'll go through kind of the processes of working with tape. So the last workshop, like I said, this is the initial list, and we're gonna have more workshops that are coming up, and they haven't been announced yet. So stay tuned. I'm going to be adding to the list. The place that you should look for information is our website, specifically the Spring 2021 Zoom workshop series. So the last one is David Roman. So David Roman is an audio engineer and composer originally from Weyburn, Saskatchewan. He is the sole proprietor of Roman Empire Studios with over a decade of experience composing, recording, mixing, and sound designing. David has worked on several award-winning films, and his audio work has screened at many international festivals. He has also worked on several commercials and television episodes, both for social media and broadcast. Musically, David is a multi-instrumentalist and producer with over 20 years of experience in several genres. He is also highly proficient with digital audio workstations and numerous digital composition tools. This is coupled with a background as a university graduated social worker, which gives David a unique experience that focuses on empathy and psychology of artists and characters. It's no surprise then that David tends to gravitate towards projects with a social conscience wherever possible. And his workshop's called Ableton, working with sampling and drum racks. This workshop will take you through a comprehensive overview of Ableton's rich percussive capabilities, specifically using the drum rack and simpler in tandem with Ableton's effects plugins. David will demonstrate how to create basic beats and percussive lines with the drum rack ecosystem while using Ableton's sampling and editing capabilities to achieve completely customized results. This will include a discussion surrounding effectively using drum racks built-in audio effects chains. This will be tailored to those with at least some basic knowledge of digital audio workstations and with some specific interest in Ableton Live. So rather than doing a beginner Ableton workshop, I asked David to do something a little more advanced that was a little more about a specific subject. So he chose sampling the simpler, which is the sampler in Ableton, and the drum racks. And so he's going to be talking about those subjects in his workshop. And that's all we've got for now. Can't really talk about any of the other workshops, but you'll have to stay tuned for those. Does anybody have any questions that they're dying to ask about Holophon or what's coming up? Gary?
One small question. When that plugin for Reaper, Ninjam, could you spell that if you don't mind? I'm a big Reaper fan. So
Ninjam.
Thank you.
It's built in. So if you got
it is.
Yeah, if you got a current version, it should be right there.
Yeah, I'm a user of Reaper, so
it's developed by Kakos. So
I did not know that. I will check into it. Thank you.
Built right in.
Well, Gary, you should. Yeah. So that's one of the other things that Holophon is kind of working on. We haven't really established it yet, but we kind of want to have a jam night where we kind of open it up to the people who are interested. Ryan and Ernie and I have been playing around with that, but I think we could bring in other people as um, the idea becomes more mature.
I'd like to have one or two more sessions before we have the general populace join us, just so that we can kind of uh, figure out some of the technical aspects and agree on like the software that we should be using.
Rebecca, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
I know you guys have been using. Have you been using Jamulus?
Yeah.
Yeah. How have you what's your experience of jamming online with other people?
Yeah, it's been great. It's just about getting everybody set up, I guess. And so that's why it's hard to add people in, without, because we just got to get everybody set up and tested and make sure it's smooth. So I don't know how it would work for just random pop-ins, but yeah, we've had a group jamming since April on Jamulus last year.
How many people?
Yeah, last year. Every week. Yeah. Oh, hey, John's here. He's got more info on it.
Hi, Ian.
Hey.
We set up our own Jamulus server, and it allows.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, it's pretty much the way to go. I think you just control the latency. We do have 7 people. One's in Halifax, one's in Kelowna, 2 are in Saskatoon, and 3 of us are here. And a little plug for Holophon when I'm on here. You actually inspired us, Ian, with your ambisonics workshop last year, because I've been playing with ambisonics pretty solidly since. We've got nearly 150 recordings in ambisonic space from this little jam session using Jamulus.
Nice. That's great.
We're doing a concert on March the 20th. You should all come.
Is that on the Multiplay website?
Yeah, and it's going to stream to the Multiplay website.
But it's using
using YouTube behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And it's, we're using Jamulus to connect, and we're also, we have one person, Gawuje, is doing visuals live. And yeah, so it's going to be a concert of what we've been working on together. So on the March the 20th at 7:00.
Yeah, but to get back to originally, actually, into the original question as well. I was connected to a group who's a little bit more international, and I've been using Zoom for jamming together. And the entry point's very low with Zoom, but I have to say I'm editing the audio together now, and it's a nightmare because it's separate audio files, but they don't sync very well. And having to do the synchronization manually yourself is an absolute nightmare. Jamulus does the recording in the background if you have your control of your server, and everybody connects, and then after the fact, I go in, have a look, and there's a neat little Reaper package that I can load up and play around with the recordings and chop out the bits I want. So it's that if you want to do a drop-in session, I think with enough instruction, Jamulus will consistently give you better results if you want to record it.
That was what I really, really liked about Jamulus, was like we did record our session with it, and like bam, there's like the Reaper project file waiting for me there, and I could just import everything lickety split. It was so cool.
Yeah, and so in sync. Initially, I had some problems with synchronization, and I had to use the Audacity project file. But recently, I just checked it out. It's just absolutely like millisecond perfect. It's amazing.
Fantastic.
That was one thing I wanted to ask. The other thing is, I noticed that are you guys developing a Multiplay app?
Yeah, so that is going to try and feature all the different things that people have been doing. So we'll have to think of what Holophon wants to have in that app in terms of your piece. But yeah, John's got some ideas. We haven't started it yet, but that's definitely in the plans, is to kind of show off everybody's projects that they've been doing. So for Holophon, you'll have to think about what you want to do for that. So John's designing it.
It's very interesting. I think everybody should check out the Multiplay website, because there's a ton of stuff on here you can look through. all of the research that's happening. Well, I mean, I've gone through everything that I wanted to go through. I think that unless there's no other questions or comments, I think we could probably. Oh, you guys have a.
Yeah, Ian, I wanted to ask about that Ambisphere mic you had the other day. Where did you build it, or is it a purchased mic?
That's the what's the model of that, Ernie?
Zoom H3 VR.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's around here somewhere. That was purchased through Multiplay's generous.
Yeah, we have 3 of them at our disposal. So.
Oh, I was just curious. I saw the Holophon web logo on it, and I thought it was a brand. Actually, I didn't
Oh no,
realize.
probably just to identify it and anti-theft it a little bit.
Right.
Although I have, while looking up, info on ambisonics, I have found, I don't think I've found any projects to build ambisonic mics, although you could probably easily do it. But there are other manufacturers of ambisonic mics, but they're like the cheapest one I found is twice as expensive as that recorder with that mic array built in.
I see. Yeah, thanks. Nice equipment.
This is the other recorder that we have. It's the Zoom H8, which has a whole bunch of different microphones that you can attach to it. So we're going to be using this.
The H8, one of the features, one of the additional mic modules that you can get for it is an ambisonic capsule that's similar to what's on the H3.
Oh, nice.
So one of the other projects that we have coming up is we're hoping to do a sound walk. So we did a sound walk a couple of years ago. It was called the Dawn Chorus, and we all got up at what, 4 a.m.
We got up at 3 so that we could meet at the Southland Mall parking lot by 4 to get out to the country by 5, and listen to all of the birds just kind of starting their day.
Yeah.
At the crack of dawn, literally. So hence Dawn Chorus, right?
Yes. So we're working with a naturalist named Heather Pete, and she's
Pete Ham.
Heather Pete Ham, and she's looking for a location for us, just hopefully close to Regina, where we're going to similarly go out and do some nature recordings. And we're hoping, my plan is to put these, we've got 3 of these, we're going to put in locations along a nature walk, and then we'll have a recording of the group of people going through that nature walk, and we'll have recordings before they get there, and then as they're going by, and then after they leave, and we'll kind of see how the sounds change over time. We
just went out to Fairy Hill. Have you been out there?
I haven't personally been out there, but that's one of the locations we're targeting.
We went out the other day. We didn't do the full walk because it was freezing, but it was really pretty, and there's a lot of good birds there and frogs and stuff.
Yeah, so this is probably going to be a little, when it does warm up a little bit, and some of the birds.
Yeah, like last year or not last year, but whenever we did the last one, it was like in May, middle of May kind of thing.
Yeah. So we're just working on that, and stay tuned. We'll have something to. We'll promote it on our social media. Well, this has been a really nice little discussion, and a nice little informal kind of gathering for everybody, and I really thank you all for coming, and I hope you do make it to some of the workshops that are coming up. I think we can probably adjourn now if there's no other business. I think that's pretty good for tonight. So thank you very much. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
See you next week.
Okay, good night.